This is rather disturbing and perhaps not so apropos for the fun half, but Archbishop Robert J. Carlson, who was an auxiliary bishop in the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis, I guess about 30 years ago, almost to the day, 1984, was deposed recently in the case of a suit against the Catholic Church, a sexual abuse lawsuit involving the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis and the Diocese of Winona, Minnesota. The plaintiff in this case, identified as Doe 1, claims to have been abused in the 1970s by the Reverend Thomas Adamson at St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Church in St. Paul Park, Minnesota. The Archbishop was deposed to find out what they did about it. And apparently, because they found internal church memos, I don't even know how to characterize this. This is what the Archbishop said about child sex abuse in the his knowledge of child sex abuse or understanding of it in the 1980s, not the 1880s, the 1980s.
Archbishop, you knew it was a crime for an adult to engage in sex with a kid.
I'm not sure whether I knew it was a crime or not. I understand today it's a crime.
When did you first discern that it was a crime for an adult to engage in sex with a kid?
I don't remember.
When did you first discern that it was a crime for a priest to engage in sex with a kid who he had under his control?
I don't remember that either.
Do you have any doubt in your mind that you knew that in the 70s?
I don't remember if I did or didn't.
In 1984, you are a bishop in the auxiliary bishop in the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis. You knew it was a crime then, right?
I'm not sure if I did or didn't.
Now, apparently, he went on to say, I knew it was morally wrong, but I don't know that I knew that it was a crime. You know, we're talking about 1984, folks. I obviously don't believe this guy.
Adding that he knew is like morally a crime, like morally wrong, is kind of even weirder because it's sort of like, well, I know society looked down on it then, but I didn't know there was anything actually wrong with it. Like, it's a bizarre...
Well, I think it's the opposite. He's saying, I didn't know that... I knew there was something wrong with it, but I just think society had caught up to this yet, legally speaking. Unbelievable.
I was out ahead of the curve on that. I didn't really know, like, you know, because for me, that was actually something...
contemplating...
Yeah.
Maybe, actually, I was actually thinking that maybe what I would do is go out and protest and say, this should be illegal. I didn't have a chance to check on whether it was illegal at the time or not, so I probably didn't know.
Remember, I was really busy driving this guy to another diocese after he molested 2 kids.
Right, because
the
morally...
third diocese, and so morally it was right to move to the next diocese because that was like the morally urgent thing to do. And then I was like, we really need to actually organize a campaign around this, and things just got busy.